Well, this week I thought I'd give you a sneak peek of what's going to be in my new DVD that's coming out soon. It's called Photoshop in Motion. It's all about creating really cool motion graphics and stuff inside of Photoshop CS3 Extended. And in this case, we're going to create a really simple moving background just to enhance this guitar a little bit more. And first thing I need to do is, in my Layers panel, I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this layer into a smart object because I want to work on it separately as an animated piece that will be brought back into this main file. So let's go, I'm going to hold down my control key or simply right click on the layer and bring up the menu here. We'll choose Convert to Smart Object. I'm going to double click on that to open up the Smart Object file. And we have a blank layer here. So I'm just going to press Shift Delete to bring up the fill dialog here. We're going to fill with 50% gray. I'm going to set my default colors to their default black and white by pressing the letter D. And then we're going to go into the filter menu, go to Render Fibers. And I'm going to set the strength fairly high. Let's do around 40 and the variance right around 16. Right about like that. Looks pretty good. Let's hit OK. Now I'm going to go into the filter menu again and this time go to Blur, Motion Blur. And we're going to make sure we're going straight up and down, which is a 90-degree blur at about a distance of 50 pixels. This looks pretty good, so we'll hit OK. Now I'm going to zoom out of the working file here, but I'm going to hold down the Option Command or the Alt Control on a PC and then press my minus key, and it will just zoom out the window, leaving the main window in place. Zoom out one more time. Now I'm going to press Command or Control T to bring up Free Transform, and then I'm just going to grab either one of these boxes and scale this out. In fact, an easier way to do it probably would be go over here to the options bar. I'm going to highlight the height percentage here, and I'm going to set it to, let's say, 400%. That looks pretty good. I'll just press Enter. Now, you saw that now that the object goes way beyond the document boundary, so I'm just going to grab it and drag it down until the very top of this graphic is at the top of the file like that. Let's zoom in so we can see what's going on. So we can see that the top of the graphic is right there at the very top. Now I'm going to bring up my animation panel. Let's go under Window to Animation, and we have the Timeline Animation panel here in the new Photoshop. I'm going to take the playhead here. I'm going to put it to the very beginning of the timeline at the 0 mark. I'm going to twirl this down to reveal the properties that I can animate. And all we're going to do is simply animate its position. So I'm going to click on the clock here to set a keyframe. And then I'm going to take the playhead, move it over to about the 5-second mark here. I'll move that out of the way. Now inside the document, I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm just going to drag this object up until we get to the bottom of that graphic at the bottom here. So there it is right there. I'm just going to make sure it stops right at that edge. It should snap right to it, like that. So now I'll take the playhead back to the beginning. It should now animate from the top to the bottom, just like that. And that looks pretty good. So we're done working in this Smart Object file, so I'm going to go ahead and close it and save the changes. Then that will appear in our main file. Move that animation panel out of the way. So there is that background. Now if I go in the animation panel and move that playhead, we see that it still animates. So we're going to do one more thing here. We see that it's a smart object, so anytime you apply a filter to a smart object, it is automatically a smart filter. So what I'm going to do is go under the filter, go to Distort Polar Coordinates. You can see I want to make sure that we're going from rectangular to polar, and it's doing just what I need it to do right there. We'll hit OK. And if I take my playhead and scroll through here again, you see we're getting a really interesting kind of zooming effect. Pretty neat stuff. Well, there's only one last thing I need to do. You see that I've got the background color set to blue. Well, all I got to do is change the blend mode of this animated layer. Let's try hard light. And then you can see it's getting a really cool animation. Let's do one more thing here. Let's put a glow around that guitar. Let's kind of move it up so the center is kind of close to the middle of the guitar there. Let's go into the layer styles here, and we're going to go into Outer Glow, and I'm going to change it from that pesky white that or that pesky yellow it always comes up with, and go to straight white there. Hit OK. Increase the size, maybe the opacity a little bit. So there, it's getting a nice glow in there. Then we'll hit OK. I'll take that animation panel and take that playhead and play through. You can see now we're getting a really cool animated effect. Now, for the sake of time, I've gone ahead and rendered this out of Photoshop as a QuickTime movie, and if you were going to do that, you can go under File, Export, Render Video, and right here for QuickTime Export, you can go in here and do all the different settings. For the purpose of time, I've gone ahead and done that, and this is the result. Let me just kind of scale this in. I'll have it loop and play there. But there it is. It's creating a simple background, taking it into a smart object, giving it a little bit of life by animating it, and bringing it back in, applying a filter to it. There you have a really cool, really dimensional animated background.